Howdy, everybody. It's Jimmy Song here from Off Chain at Satoshi Roundtable. Can't believe I'm here. Yeah, I've always sort of like heard about this conference, but I've never actually been. So a lot of people, from what I hear, it's a lot bigger this year and a lot fancier, I guess. Kind of reflects the changing nature of Bitcoin a little bit, right? Like there's a lot of people in it now, and obviously price has gone up a lot since the last time they held this event. And this something that we tend to forget is that, like, we're still up like 6-7x from last year. Like 1 year ago. These are pretty good returns. People are spoiled because they were up like 19-20x. So obviously, these are that's like sort of the talk of the conference. For a lot of people, they're like, "Hey, oh man, this is absolutely brutal. Can't handle all of this stuff." So, yeah, I had a pretty fun time the first. I mean, I came in at around like 5 p.m. It's actually like quite a drive from like the airport in Cancun to where we are. It's like 40 minutes. So I was kind of surprised by that. I thought it would be like 10, 20 minutes now. It's actually quite a while. And yeah, the actual resort is beautiful. Apparently last year they went with somewhere a little cheaper and people complained about it, and they made sure this was like a first class, like really high end resort. So that's where we are right now. Anyway, yeah, obviously a lot of people talking about price and stuff. I was playing poker with some of the people here, and could kind of sense like a somber mood. Usually when people are playing poker, they're just like very having fun and just sort of like dealing having banter and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun, right? Like, but yesterday I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, everyone's just sort of like, a little bit, they know what's going on. Everyone, I like, despite trying very hard to not look at the price, that's what you end up looking at. It's kind of funny as Bitcoiners, like, all of these people are holders, right? Like they've been holding for a long time. But even then, it's sort of like, oh man, I can't help but look at the price. Everyone's feeling like, oh man, I wish I sold earlier, all this, or, there's a lot of regret and stuff like that. And, like I said yesterday, part of holding and part of the difficulty in holding is sort of dealing with your own emotions, which is kind of strange, but that's actually what it is. It's, you have this conflict between your mind and your emotions oftentimes, and a truly rational person lets their mind sort of win over whatever emotions that you might be feeling at the time. And this is kind of what causes sort of a long time preference instead of short time preference. If you just sort of act on your emotions that are there very temporarily, then you're going to have a very short time preference, right? Like you're going to do things that are sort of impulsive, maybe consuming things that maybe you shouldn't, like if you were thinking long term and things like that. So yeah, I like, from my perspective, what you have to do as a whole holder is sort of deal with your emotions, and that's not easy, right? Like you're always having to think about how to, you feel terrible about doing X, Y, or Z, um like earlier, and there's like this regret at action not taken. And that can be very toxic to your soul in many ways, right? Because if you sort of live life thinking about what could have been, like you sort of like are always sort of time traveling and looking at the reality where you took some other action, that's going to be very difficult for you, because there's at least with Bitcoin and really just trading anything, there's always sort of this thought, and this is sort of due to our hindsight bias. We tend to think that we could have made these decisions differently had we had more information or something like that. It's actually not true. Most of the time, unless you had conviction at that point in time, you're not going to do the things that you think you would have done, if that makes sense. There's a tremendous hindsight bias, and it's something that you have to deal with as a Bitcoiner, as a person in general, right? Like, it's like, what if I did X, Y, or Z? Maybe I would be like the super, and that's not a good way to live. And this. Yeah, and you'll sort of like live with this regret that you didn't do something that you never were convicted of doing, or it's just sort of like living a life of fantasy. And I mean, I'm sure you guys know people like that. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so for whatever reason, the power just went out. But I guess I'm still broadcasting. So here, let me try to get like a better angle. All right, so it should be a little better. All right, so yeah, so part of doing the right thing, right? Like, or at least sticking with the convictions that you have, is that you have to realize you're sort of a different person every day. And this is kind of a weird concept, but it's true. Then you're smarter before sometimes than you are right now, right? Like, because right now you're filled with emotion. There's a lot of sort of short-term emotions that are there. And it's very tempting. Oh, there's the lights again. It's very tempting to just sort of think about only the things that you're feeling now, instead of all of the rational analysis that you did before that led you to the point where you were convicted that Bitcoin is the way to go, that it's a good long-term investment. And this part of the investment psychology, right? It's difficult. Here, let me move back here so I can like sort of see comments and stuff. All right. It's difficult. It's not easy to do, and that's something that you have to continue to think about when you. Let me put that up. As you hold, right? Like, and the interesting thing is, the less you give into that emotion, right? Like that sort of regret or desire to sort of act because you feel a certain way, but instead just sort of like deal with the emotion, figure out where it comes from, and just sort of look at the long term and not be affected by it. The more conviction you have in your actual investment thesis. Like, emotions are not an investment thesis. If you have an investment thesis, that's the idea. It's you're supposed to stick to it instead of just sort of changing your mind based on, a sort of the short-term price swings. If you're a trader, that may be very different. But if you're a holder, it's a different proposition. Anyway, it gets to be kind of crazy as we go through more of this stuff, and I don't know if it's over. I have no idea. Yeah, it's it's character building, honestly. Like, and this is what sort of gets you towards your goals, right? Like, if you have long-term conviction on something, and say it's like starting a business or starting a family or whatever, you have to stick with that conviction no matter what you feel day to day. And for those of you that have kids or whatever, those are the kinds of things that you have to deal with emotionally. And it's easy to sort of succumb to that emotion, but I would encourage you to think about the investment thesis or the sort of long-term play that you analyzed before, because in many ways you were smarter before without the sort of emotional turbulence that you're going through than the current one that you're going through right now. And that's okay. That's something that you have to know about yourself. And most people are this way because it's very hard to go against the crowd. But again, that's when you make the most money. That's where you make a lot of money, That's where you develop character. That's where you become kind of a better person. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. Like the longer time preference that you have, the better you're going to be off. And as a person, as just sort of a member of society, as you know, as a lot of these things. All right. So anyway, let's go to some of these questions. There's a bunch of them. I can't believe I'm doing this at like 8 in the morning, and there's, well, at Eastern time, and there's a ton of people here. All right, let's see. Giddy up, cowboy, love the hat. Let's see. Refresh video. Cool hat. All right. Is your hotel card in the slot by the door? Yes. Yes. So I don't know what happened, but I don't know. Power in Mexico. Who knows? Have you seen the SEC document? I have not. I guess I kind of should. BTC bounced. Did you explain this to Tone? He's freaking out. I guess he's all the way in Singapore. He's like on the other side of the world. So it's kind of hard to get in contact with him. Let's see. Hello, Jimmy, everyone. Do you know any martial arts? No, not really. I took Taekwondo when I was little, but that's about it. Are you buying the dip? In a way, I am, because that's I cause people to pay me in Bitcoin for my seminars. By the way, I announced yesterday that Hong Kong is the one after Tampa, and that's going to be March 22nd and 23rd. I am looking to do Korea maybe right after that. I just have to secure a venue. And you know, I'll be speaking at Token 2049 right before the seminar. So you know, it'll be fun. I haven't been to this event before, and honestly not really sure what to expect. Kind of like Satoshi Roundtable, right? Like this is it's kind of a new experience for me. It is really good to see like all of the people that, you know, I've been interacting with on Twitter and stuff, like just kind of meeting them. A lot of them I haven't met before, so it's good to see them. A lot of them brought their families, so it brings a little more humanity to what we're all doing. It's I don't know. It's good to see people face to face, as they say. Like a lot of people on the internet are sort of like, you know, we'll fight about everything, but you know, like, you know, when you're sort of in person, it's a little different. And you know, it's people are just a lot more polite in person, and I don't know why that is. Probably due to sort of like, you know, inbuilt biological reactions, or something about like just being in the presence of another person that changes maybe the reaction that you would have on Twitter is not necessarily the reaction you would have in person. In part because, you know, you get a lot more information. Just, you know, like their body language, the way they're saying, a tone of voice, just the words. As they say, like 90% of communication is not done through words, and you know, maybe that's what it is. But anyway, a lot of people. Can you do an Australian accent? No. No. Okay. Anyway, thanks for everybody for watching. It's been great. Hopefully I can do more of these like updates. I need to go get some breakfast because apparently the breakfast here is amazing. Anyway, thank you for watching, and this song is done.